This is Wealthy AF, your ultimate guide to understand what it truly means to be wealthy AF. Welcome back, guys. And today's episode, our guest is Nicole R. Lewis. Nikki Lewis is a Bay Area native who is practicing attorney in the San Francisco Bay Area. She's also a former law professor. By the way, Nikki, we have a ton of listeners in California. So
yay.
Your native town, we have a lot of people from your area. In May 2023, shortly after Nikki's 48th birthday, she decided to start bodybuilding. Although Nikki is proud of the transformation of her body, it is the discipline and dedication that is required to be a bodybuilder that she is loving most about participating in the sport. The level of focus and determination that the sport of bodybuilding requires has improved all aspects of Nikki's life, including how she approaches the practice of law. In a profession replete with stress, I would imagine a lawyer, Nikki wishes to share how she managed life's setback but has now found her footing and hit her stride. Nikki, welcome to the podcast. My pleasure to have you, my dear.
Having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So tell us your story. Why don't we start there, Nikki? Why don't you tell us your story, why you went into law, and then how that transformation happened, and now you have your own practice, from what I understand, and now you are also into bodybuilding at 48. That's amazing. Congratulations for you.
I'm 49 now.
You're 49 now. Okay, so 49.
Yeah, I know I don't look like it, but I am.
Yeah, well, you bodybuilding, so you look amazing. Okay, so tell us about that, my dear.
Okay, well, I knew that I wanted to be an attorney when I was a little girl. I was 9 years old when I actually spoke it. I said, I want to be a lawyer. So I did everything that I needed to do, always got good grades, went off to college, went to law school, took the bar, became an attorney. And my first attorney job was as a child support attorney with Los Angeles County Child Support Services. So I worked for the government. So I thought, hey, this is great. I had a secure job. This is what I've worked so hard for. And I will never forget my very first week of work, that Friday. I was sitting in my office and I literally said to myself, is this it? I expected to feel something completely different from what I was feeling. Was I happy that I had the job? Yeah, I was happy about it, but I thought I would be so much more fulfilled and excited about it, and I wasn't. So did I do anything about it? No, I was in my mid-20s. I just continued to work, and what I thought was that it would just get better. I would start to feel more excited about law. Maybe I was feeling this way because I was new and I didn't know things that I needed to learn. And the more I continued to practice law year after year, that feeling didn't change. It really didn't. And so I went through working at child support services. That's supposed to be the secure job because you're working for the government. Well, I found out how unsecure it was when there was a budgetary crisis in California, something that was never heard of. So what happened? I got a pink slip from the government.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Pink slip. And I, along with, I want to say 13 other attorneys, we got pink slips. And so I'm like, wait, I thought the government job was supposed to be secure, and it wasn't. So I went from working at child support services to the private sector and started working at a private firm. Now we have billable hours. It's a toxic environment. It was, again, this is not what I signed up for when I went to law school. So I continued to work. After this private firm, I went out on my own. So now I'm a brand new attorney still out on my own, trying to navigate business and practicing law, not knowing what I'm doing, no guidance, no training, nothing. So still feeling uncomfortable and still thinking, well, maybe as time goes on, it'll get better. And it didn't get better. Things continue to get, I'd say, emotionally worse. And what I ended up doing was after I gained a bunch of weight, and this is years later, after I gained a bunch of weight, I found fitness. And I found that fitness reduced my stress, and it also gave me a sense of clarity. And so I said, okay, maybe I'm onto something here. So I started gravitating towards fitness while I'm trying to navigate practicing law. And fast forward, because there's a whole lot that happened in between. Fast forward to practicing law, becoming certified as a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor, and now bodybuilding. So it was a progression to bodybuilding. And it was because of the stress of work and being unhappy as an attorney that I was led to bodybuilding. But now that I'm in bodybuilding, I've now found my footing as an attorney because now I own my law firm. I have people working for me, and I have the flexibility and the freedom to do what I enjoy doing, which is running businesses, not necessarily that practicing attorney handling the case. I'm not the workhorse. I'm the rainmaker. Mm-hmm. That's where I feel comfortable, and that's where I'm at peace, and that's why I'm happy now.
So much to unpack there. How many attorneys do you have? How many attorneys do you have working for you now in your firm?
Well, I just hired one, and I recently brought on an HR person to help me find other attorneys. And that's just with my particular practice in the San Francisco Bay Area. I have some other things in the works, still working those things out in terms of expanding and scaling the practice to a different location in California. But again, that's just law. I'm also, because I am so passionate about mindset and wellness, whether it's emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, I also am starting a wellness business. And so that's going to be something else that I'm doing. I'm going to be a life purpose coach, wellness coach for other professionals and just individuals who have experienced the things that I've experienced, because I want to show them that you are supposed to enjoy your life now. You don't have to wait till some later date. Wherever you are right now, you can enjoy your journey, and you're supposed to.
100%. I'll tell you what I'm noticing in our conversations. I interview a lot of people, right, in my podcast. But here's what I am noticing about you, Nicole, is that you are so passionate about where you are right now. You're so passionate about what you're doing, and you seem to be enjoying things more. You seem to be talking about the bodybuilding with such and the health and wellness stuff with so much more passion than you do about the law firm stuff. The law firm stuff is more so like, hey, I like to be the business owner, but that's just a business, right? That's just a business that I'm the visionary and things like that. And I see the passion coming out of you as you talk about the health, wellness, the coaching, the this, the that, and you're just so passionate about that, which is interesting because you went to school for so many years for that. And it's not what you thought it would be. What advice are you giving to a young person or young lady listening to you right now that might be in your shoes?
Well, I will tell you the advice that I actually did give a young lady who reached out to me. She's a high school student at American Canyon. She reached out to me because she said she wanted to be a lawyer. And one of the things I tell people when they reach out to me, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you things that no one told me. Now, granted, I'm the only attorney in my family. So I didn't have family members who could come to me and say, look, this is the real deal with practicing law. Mm-hmm. I didn't have anyone to tell me that. And so I want to be to other people what I didn't have. Mm-hmm. And so what I tell them is that just understand that practicing law can be hit and miss. And what I mean by that is you'll find some things that you really don't like, and that's okay. Once you find out what you don't like, you know not to go down that path. You have a lot of other options in terms of what you may like. Also, just going to law school and the things that you learn in law school, you may find, again, that you're not that workhorse. You're not that attorney who wants to just crank out billable hours. You might want to be that owner of the firm. You might want to be that visionary, that rainmaker. And that's okay too. There's a lane for that as well. Because not all attorneys want to run the business. There are a lot of attorneys, they say, look, I just want my check. Mm-hmm. I just happen to not be one of those. But I didn't know while I was in it, because while I was in it, I knew I was uncomfortable, but I didn't know what I was feeling. And part of that had to do with the fact that I was in my 20s when I was an attorney. I just didn't know. I didn't have enough life experience to even know that what I was feeling, it wasn't okay. At the time, I didn't have to deal with it. That's what I mean when I say it's not okay. I don't have to deal with it. I didn't have kids. I'm not married. I'm like, why am I unhappy with my job? How about figure out what excites me? And that's what I continue to do. Figure out what excites me. And part of finding out what excites you, sometimes finding out what you hate.
That's right.
When you find out what you hate, you can pivot towards what it is that you like. And so I tell young people, I say, look, even if you find something that you're not liking, at least you're getting some indicator that you don't necessarily need to go in that direction. And it helps you figure out what you do like. You get that much closer to figuring out what you do like.
100%. It's interesting you mentioned that. Yesterday, I was in my library here in my office, in my home office, and I'm going through some of my books. I just like to go through I have some journals and some things where I write a lot of quotes, and I'm going through one of my journals, and I come across a menu. And this is a menu of a restaurant I owned many years ago, failed restaurant. I was like, oh, so I go to my room and I show it to my wife, like, babe, look what I found. So we were laughing about it. So I took a picture of it and I posted it on my Instagram. I posted on my story. And I put there, I said, one of my biggest business lessons, the menu to my restaurant, one of my biggest business lessons. So one of my mentees texts me, she DMs me, and she's like, well, what was your biggest business? What did you learn? And, she said something, well, what was your biggest lesson? She asked me. And I said, well, the biggest lesson was I learned that not to do and get involved with shit I don't know. Right? So I bought a restaurant because I always fantasize about owning a restaurant. And I thought because I like to cook. So if you come to my house, I'd cook for you, I'd barbecue for you, I'll make you a nice meal. I enjoy cooking. And for some reason, I thought that owning a restaurant was going to be the same feeling. And oh boy, is it not. Right? Oh boy, is it not. And the margins are small. It's risky. It's a lot of work. And I took a 50 and I lost $50,000 in a year. I closed it down. I was like, but what I learned that I won't do it again. I learned that, hey, you know what? I'll get to my deathbed and I'll say, hey, I always fantasized about owning a restaurant. I did. And guess what? I didn't like it. I'm not going to be 90, 100 years old and get to my deathbed and be like, I never owned that restaurant. No, I did it. It didn't work. So one of my biggest lessons, and amongst other things, hey, I got to understand the numbers when I'm doing business. I got to understand my margins. Now that has propelled me to be obsessive about my numbers. When I buy a deal or buy a piece of real estate, I'm a real estate guy. I know someone asked me the other day, I just finished doing a 12-unit redevelopment, a big redevelopment in Pennsylvania. And someone asked me, did you know what the value was going to be? I was like, dude, I knew what the value was going to be way before I closed on that deal. I knew what the value was going to be. I knew exactly what the value was going to be. What I didn't know, what you don't know, is the surprises that you're going to have during the construction. That's what I don't know, but that's the risk. That's what the risk is. But as it pertains to value, I knew my exit strategy. So that understanding, to your point, understanding what I didn't like led me to being obsessive about what I do like and really understanding the numbers about what I do like, which has propelled me to another level, right? So your counsel and advice is very, very wise to young people. As an entrepreneur, what have you found are the benefits of working out, being into bodybuilding? You said that as you started working out, you started realizing that it was giving you clarity, it was making you better. Can you share on that, please?
Well, yeah, because it's one thing to be fit. Like I said, I started gravitating towards fitness. So would I work out? Yes. Would I work out religiously? Yes. Would I look great? Yes. Bodybuilding is a whole nother level of discipline. Completely different level of discipline. And so what I found was that once I was able to make that mind-body connection when I'm working out, it just opened up everything to me. And the reason it opened up everything to me is because and just so you know, I have a fitness coach, okay? Mm-hmm. Before I got the fitness coach, I was in shape. I was even coaching people in group fitness classes. So I looked good, but that wasn't the point, looking good. I wanted to step it up a notch in terms of my fitness. So I got a fitness coach. Once I got my fitness coach, who had superior knowledge to me when it came to working out, because she's a professional bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. I saw my body start doing things I never knew it could do. Mm-hmm. And it was because I was just doing what she told me to do. And because she knew what she was doing, my body started responding because I just executed. So I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm able to do this type of a workout, stay on this nutrition plan, and this is the result. That's interesting. And so the more that I got disciplined with bodybuilding, the more I started to think about, it's like I became more in tune with what I was really feeling, because bodybuilding felt so good. It felt like this is my lane. Once I was practicing law the way that I had been practicing law, I said, this doesn't feel so good. So I started identifying my emotions. And I'm like, okay, when I'm bodybuilding, I light up. It feels great. When I'm over here at this firm, I'm not that happy. It's like, ugh. So I started again, when it came to law, trying to figure out what felt good. And so even while I was in the moment of not feeling good at the firm that I was at because of what I was doing, I was able to identify those small things that I did enjoy. So I'm like, okay, I don't like the overall situation, but there are certain things within the situation that I'm able to identify that I like. So I need more of that. And so while I was in this situation that I didn't like, I was able to identify, I like being more of a rainmaker than a workhorse. So it was like, okay, well, Nicole, you know what you need to do in order to open a practice. Now, when it comes to making it a multi-million-dollar practice, you might need some help with that. So what do? Find somebody who knows how to do it.
Got a coach, got a mentor. Easy.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And so that's why I'm sitting here now, like, and I could easily say, oh, I should have done this a long time ago, but I wasn't ready. You have to be ready to receive all that comes with all this stuff. A lot of people, they want that title. Oh yeah, I'm the CEO. Okay, well, are you willing to pay the CEO price to get to CEO? There's a lot that comes with it. And the journey,
most people don't. Once they know once they know, they don't want it.
They don't want it. They don't understand the nights of crying, frustration, anger, all those things. Okay. They don't understand all that. They just see when you have the nice car, the nice house, or all these other things, and how you're so impressive to people. They don't kind of pay the price. And that's why I'm one of those people. I don't care about titles. I don't care about impressing people, because I was doing that back when I was unhappy. I wasn't even happy, and people are just so impressed. And I'm thinking, like, why? Like, I'm not even happy doing what I'm doing. And so now all this is because of bodybuilding. I opened up my mind. I'm able to identify what I'm feeling, what really does feel good. I found out what really feels good because bodybuilding felt so good. I felt like I was in my lane, my space. And so pivot to the practice of law. Okay, how can I find that same feeling in the practice of law? And then I was able to find it.
So give us a process. Is there a book? Is there any books or anything particularly that you read that changed your mindset, that led you to learn how to identify what feels good, or for you to identify, or is that just experience? Because I know as we get older, we just get to know ourselves better. Now, I was talking to a young man the other day, and I was like, look, you're a young guy, and I know you think you're smart, but you're not. I know you're 24. Like, I remember I used to think I was smart when I was 24, but you're not. You don't even know what you like yet. You don't really know yourself yet. And you might be smart, but you know what I mean? And you don't have any reference points in life to be able. You don't have any reference points. Yeah, it's like when you get to 40 that you like, okay, I can look at, there's a great book, Napoleon Hill talks, I don't know if you've read Napoleon Hill stuff, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. He says, man doesn't get to like most men he interviewed while he was doing this 20-year journey of writing this book, which is the best book on personal development ever written. I still believe that to this day. He says, a man doesn't get to his stride until he's 40. It's one of the reasons why to be a president of the United States, you have to be a minimum requirement of the age of 40. I think 35 or 40 or something like that. But most men that are self-made, or women that are self-made, is the 40s, right? Your prefrontal cortex is developed. You have enough reference points. It's like when you start to hit your stride, right?
Yeah.
It's because you don't have, in my opinion, it's because you don't have any, when you're younger, you don't have enough reference points to say, shit, I did that back then and it got me this. That didn't work. Well, I'm going to do this now because I have enough reference points that's going to give me this in the future. It's going to give me a better result in the future. So is there any books that you read that helped you along in that journey or any strategy? So if there are any books you read that helped you along in that journey that gave you that clarity, and is there a strategy that you would give to a young person listening to figure out that thing? For me, unfortunately, I lost a lot of money in doing dumb shit and making bad business decisions, right? I just have. It just is what it is. That's the journey. People look and say, oh, well, you're so successful. Well, you don't know the money I lost here, and you don't know the frustration I did here, and you don't know the lesson I learned here with this contractor that put a lien on my property for $100,000, and I had to fight him, and the bank didn't want to give me my money, and I had to go raise more money, and you don't know that, right? You don't know those nights. You don't know what the mindset and the mental games that I had to play with myself to stay in the game, right? And all the coaching and talking to my coaches, like, I'm driving crazy. I'm driving myself nuts. I feel like quitting. I don't know. You know what I mean? What to do. So what strategies would you tell a young person or someone listening to us right now on things they could do to find that stride?
Okay, well, first, before bodybuilding, no, there weren't any books that I read. There weren't. But now there are quite a few books that I'm reading because I'm just growing so quickly. And it's like I have this insatiable appetite to just learn more about business and how to grow in, just finances, all that stuff. So back to your question about strategies for young people. And it really depends on the young person, because not all young people are trying to listen to what you're saying.
I know. I used to be one of them.
Yeah. If you have a receptive young person, then I'd say start with something small. And this is something that I asked my niece. I have not followed up with her, but I asked her, I said, what is it that you really enjoy doing that you're good at? And it's just effortless. And so I didn't ask her to tell me in the moment because I wanted her to think about it. So now I need to follow up with her, find out what her response is. But whatever that is, and it can be anything, whatever that is, think about how you could potentially, profit from it. Potentially, So what do you enjoy? What are you good at? And it's just kind of effortless. It doesn't feel like work. And what I would also tell the young people is that you may have to do some things that you don't like at first. You may have to.
You always have to do the hard things at first.
You're like, always.
You always have to do the hard things. You always got to do the hard things at first. It's not fun to become the best violinist if that's what you like. In practice for 6 hours, 5 hours, like, it's not fun at first, right? But you have to do it. It's what gets you to the top.
Yeah, and that's why you have to really identify what it really is that you want, which is, I feel like it's harder as a young person.
That's really hard as a young person. I was just about to say that. Really young.
Identify what you want, and that's why you might, and see, this is the thing, and you touched upon this. There might be a lot of things that you're interested in, and you have to just kind of do it to see if you really like it, because it might not be what you expect. And that takes me back to law school. Why do you want to be a lawyer? Because if it's about money, you're in the wrong profession.
Really?
Sorry. If it's about money, you're in the wrong profession. Now, if you want to be the owner and CEO of the law firm, now that's where you have that unlimited income. But if you're going to be the workhorse and you have billable hours and you're the one who's cranking out all this work and you're getting paid this much while you're being billed out at this much, okay, you tell me, do the math. And I'd like, without a calculator, do the math.
The math has got to math, baby. That's always that's always my that's always my thing. Like when I'm making an offer, it's like, oh, you're now the math has got to math. If the math doesn't math, there's no deal. Just that simple. If it doesn't cash flow, I ain't got no deal. We're moving on.
Yeah. Yeah. So with young people, it really depends on the young person because it's not one size fits all. Some young people are more mature than others. Some young people have a better idea of what they want to do, or they think they know what they want to do. Some young people have no idea what they want to do. And I also say that that's okay. When you're younger, you don't have it. First of all, you're not going to have it all figured out. So don't feel like you have to have it all figured out. You haven't lived enough life to have things figured out. You just haven't. And so
that's so hard for young people to receive. You know that,
Yeah.
Nikki? That's so hard for young people to receive. I remember, do you remember when you was 20 and some old person like us told you, you haven't lived enough to know what you want and know who you are? You'd be like, get the hell out of here. You know, that's what I was thinking. Like, shut up, old person. Like, you telling me I don't know what like, it's hard for a young person to receive, right? Like, to tell a young person that you haven't lived enough life. And you think, well, I live on my own. This was me. I'm a grown-ass man. I live on my own. I've been on my own. Man, shut up. You don't know Jack. You haven't lived enough life to know who you are yet.
That is so true. And I've never admitted this, and I will admit this now on this show with you. I believe that in my 20s, I was very judgy. I think I was judgy. Even at a certain point in my early 30s, I think I was very judgy. It wasn't until life smacked me in the face real hard, that I said, oh, dang, if this can happen to me, why am I judging other people, number one? And then number two, get yourself together, focus on you. You don't have time to focus on other people. I literally am not concerned about other people because I'm way too focused on myself. And so I'm not only am I like, this is like judgment free zone with me, period. And I just focus on me and I stay in my lane. I focus on me. I'm not worried about other folks. Yeah. Life be life.
Yeah, life. Yes, it does. And that's like, and again, that's the reference points that I was talking about earlier. As you get older, you go through some of those hard experiences and you're like, damn, I was really judgy with this person. And here I am in this position. That was wrong. And you just become more you get more empathy and compassion towards others. You know, and I'll mention this, right, with this whole Diddy thing that's happening with Diddy, right? He went, and I don't know if you saw I don't know if you know what's going on with him, but that whole Diddy Puff Daddy thing. Anyways, he went on and he made an apology. He did this apology thing. I don't follow that stuff, but I did see that it did show up on my feed, the apology. And man, people were killing the guy, like judging the guy. Wow. And to me I'm old enough to understand that, hey man, no one is perfect. Right. And who am I to kick someone while they're down? I don't want to be kicked while I'm down.
Right.
I don't want to be kicked while I'm down. And it's not me to judge, it's up to God to judge. I just showed the guy compassion and empathy. If the guy really means it, it's only between him and God. If the guy really means it, if his heart is right. But it's not my job to be like, Nope. It's not my job. And I just have empathy for all parties involved. Everything has happened. And if the guy really meant his apology, it's not my job to judge. I just have empathy. Understand, bro, I've been there. I've made mistakes myself. So I haven't made those mistakes, but I've made mistakes myself where I've made mistakes. And I'm like, damn, I really screwed that up really, really bad. And I want the other person to forgive me or have compassion for me because I really screwed that up. Right? And it's when you go through life and you've had some of those experiences, you start to not be so judgy on other people when they're going through their mess.
Yeah, because when you're young, or I should say when you're younger, you always say what you won't do. I never do that. And it's like, and then you start living and you're like, wait, am I finding myself in this situation after I said I wasn't going to ever do that?
Yeah.
You know, and so I extend grace because I'm like, I want grace extended to me. So I extend grace, you know, and I'm a firm believer in, again, extending grace. And that's one of the reasons why my clients, the ones that I consider my ideal clients, are so attracted to the way that I practice law when I represent them. because I don't make anybody feel judged. You could be the criminal defendant that I'm representing, or you could be the wife who feels like you're just so stupid because your husband was doing all these bad things and you stayed with him. A lot of people are beating themselves up, and I never do that. If anything, I'm very compassionate. I give grace. I show love. I encourage. And I feel like that's the way that you need to deal with people, because that's how you would want people to deal with you. And so, yeah, I never point and say, I really don't say negative things about anybody anyway, because I don't like focusing on negative things. I like feeling good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I speak up that feel good to me. So if it's a bad situation, I prefer to not focus on that and turn my attention towards what feels great and what gives me life. So yeah, I try to stay away from all the negative stuff.
How do you define success in entrepreneurship, and how does it differ from success in bodybuilding and in law?
Well, success in entrepreneurship, I'll say for me, is freedom. That's how I define success in entrepreneurship. The freedom and the flexibility to make the decisions that I want to make that are best for me, that are best for my businesses. That's what success is for me. And that's why the money will flow, because I have that freedom, versus when you're working for someone and they're telling you you have to do something that you hate doing. You're not feeling it, but it's like, oh, this is my boss. I have to do it. So for me, I know what it feels like to chuck up the deuces to a high-paying job and feel good and just step out, high-stepping. Because I'm like, whatever, I'll go make more money on my own. So the freedom, that to me is what I consider to be success as an entrepreneur, the freedom and the flexibility. And again, the money that comes on in because of the happiness that I'm, putting out there in the universe. And what was the second part of the question you asked about the law and bodybuilding?
Yeah. So what's the differences? How do you define success in entrepreneurship? So you've answered that. And how does it differ from success in bodybuilding or law?
Well, success for bodybuilding, it goes back to me. How do I feel? Have I been putting in the work that's necessary? And the thing is, I do compete, and I've had people ask me like, oh, well, how do you feel if you didn't win and you felt like someone who you look better than won? I said, that doesn't bother me, because my joy is in the journey. By the time I get to peak week, I've already succeeded. So that means the competition is the cherry on top. So for me, it's about the journey. Am I staying, sticking with my plan? And every day is not going to be perfect. Some days I don't get it all right. That's okay. It's okay, because life happens and you have to make adjustments. So as long as I'm doing my best and I'm showing up for me, and I'm looking pretty darn good, by the time I get on the stage, it's just the fun part, So success for me in bodybuilding is sticking with the training program, making it to peak week. You make it to peak week, bam, there you go.
Muhammad Ali used to have a saying. He would say, what I do in the light is only a reflection of what I do when in the dark, when everyone is sleeping and I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning going for my runs. What you're seeing in the light, you're just, like you said, it's just a cherry on top. You're just seeing everything I did when no one else was watching. That's all you're seeing. And a lot of people, there's a lot of, you touched on something. You said you want freedom when entrepreneurship, you want freedom. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 20. Been in sales since I was 20, an entrepreneur. And a lot of entrepreneurs want to become entrepreneurs just like you and I, because we don't want to be told what to do. And I want to do my way, blah, blah, blah. But I think one of the things that, if you're listening and that's you, and you're like a great painter, right? And you're like, well, I don't like the way the company does this, and I'm going to go start my own company. But I will tell you, just because you're a great painter doesn't make you a great entrepreneur.
There you go.
Experience, okay? This is experience talking, 26 years of entrepreneurship. Great painter doesn't make you a great entrepreneur. A great salesperson doesn't make you a great entrepreneur. There is a different skill to be a business owner. So if you're out there and you're listening and you're a great painter or you're a great salesperson and you want to start your own agency or you want to start your own thing, I'm going to highly recommend that you now, if you're great at that, now you have to get the skill of being an owner. It's a different skill set, being a leader, being a manager. Like, it's a different skill set than just, I used to be a great salesperson when I was selling insurance for big insurance companies, one at the top. And then I decided I wanted to go do it on my own. And then I sucked doing it on my own. And it was a different skill set I had to learn. I had to learn to recruit. I had to learn to retain. I had to learn to do all these things. I need to learn to lead. So just my 2 cents on that is, it's a different skill set. Just because you're good at, like, if you're an excellent attorney and you don't like the way something's happening at your current firm, I'm going to go do this. Yeah, now you got to learn how to deal with I just told you, my bookkeeper was texting me. You got to get a bookkeeper, you got to get to this, you got to get to that, you got to get all these people on your team, and you got to know how to manage them, and you got to know how to keep them together, and you got to know how to cast a vision and how to lead them so that they can buy into your vision so that you have that free time that you're talking about.
Yes. And you hit the nail on the head, because I'll be honest, I don't have a problem being told what to do. When I started practicing law and I was with private firms, I wanted to just collect the check. I just found myself not being happy only collecting the check. And then I found myself not being happy because I was being forced to do things that I didn't enjoy doing. And so I didn't mind being told what to do. As a matter of fact, I considered myself to be a darn good teammate. Like, I can execute. If you're not here, I can, step into your shoes. Yeah. So I was cool with doing that, but I never found that I enjoyed the environments that I was in. And it had a lot to do with the environment, because if I would have been in a cool environment, I would probably be working for some
culture.
But those environments were so toxic.
There's a good lesson here. There's a really good lesson in what you're saying, right? Company culture matters. So that's another skill, right? So you see, your previous firms lost a good team player, a good person, right? A good, valuable employee. They decided to leave because there was a toxic culture. That is another skill set that I had to learn. Just because you build a team doesn't mean the team is going to go and everything. Now you got to maintain the culture, and you got to create the culture, and you got to weed the shit, and you got to let people go that are toxic, and you got to bring in new players. So now it becomes about the culture. People, I had an employee, really important employee, resign on me recently, and a really important role. And I'm with my coach. So I just moved to Florida. I was doing this big redevelopment in Pennsylvania, and this person was running this project for me, $700,000 project, right? This person was running this project for me. It's an employee. And I got a 2-week notice about 8 weeks before the project comes to an end. I had just moved here, and I'm getting stable, this is all new to me, right? Doing it from here and all that. So I had to leave here for 6 weeks. I just came back. I had to leave here for 6 weeks and go and execute, hire a new person and do all of that stuff. But anyways, I remember being on a call with my coach, and they said, this person left with my business coach, and I need to look at where I dropped the ball. Person left because of whatever, another opportunity. I was like, well, it wasn't your fault. I was like, no, you're not going to let me off the hook. This is not about, people don't leave. Employees don't leave companies. They leave their bosses. And this was a direct report to me. Where did I drop the ball? Where is there for me to improve here? How can I do this differently next time? Right? I'm not going to play the victim here and, no, I screwed this up. This is on me. Where did the culture, and we talked about it in the exit interview, but where was my culture not good enough? And sometimes it's not. So just some people are just out of integrity, and I understand that and I own that, but I'm not looking to put it outside. I'm looking to look and reflect inside and see where Or at best, Nikki, how could I have identified this shit sooner? Like, how could I have seen, at best for me, it's like, hey man, okay, so if it wasn't on me and it was just a bad hire, then okay, how do I identify that in the interview process, not freaking a year later? You know what I'm saying? So again, a lot of people I had to leave my home for 6 weeks. Right? I had to leave here for 6 weeks to go and execute on that. And this is what I'm saying. A lot of people want to see the glory, but they don't see the sacrifice.
They don't see the sacrifice.
They don't see the sacrifice. Are you ready to do that if that's what it took for your business to succeed, right? Are you ready to do that? I have investors, right? I have a commitment to, I have lenders, I have partners, I have employees, I have all of this responsibility on me. And it has to get done. So who's going to do it?
Exactly. And that's why bodybuilding is so important to me.
Right.
When I'm training, I focus on my training, and that's my sanctuary. And that's why I train in the morning, because I get my focus set and my intention set to deal with all that stuff you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I like to study successful people. I read a lot of books on successful people, have a lot of models different people I model. And one thing there's a great book, I don't know if you've read it, you might want to pick it up. It's a great book by Hal Elrod, The Miracle Morning.
Oh, okay.
The Miracle Morning.
That'll be the next up, because I'm reading a lot of books these days.
Yeah, Miracle Morning, great book, Hal Elrod. And so one thing I've found in successful people I interview here on this podcast, there's a lot of people I know, different workshops, different seminars, different things I attend, different masterminds I'm in. And is really high level successful people and entrepreneurs. They all have a really strong morning routine. And it always consists of some sort of working out, some sort of visualization, and some sort of quiet time.
Yep.
Meditation, exercising, journaling. Right?
Yeah.
These are the three things consistently that I have found in very successful people. Those three, they just consistently. And it's in the morning. Right? And not everyone's a morning person. Like, for instance, one of the people I follow is Tony Robbins. Tony's a night person. And he does his thing and he performs his best at night at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, shit, man, I'm asleep by then. I can't. Yeah. Me, you'll catch me up at 5 o'clock in the morning in my office, right? My home office, journaling, thinking, strategizing, gratitude. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing, the Muhammad Ali stuff when no one's watching. I'm doing the hard stuff, and then I'm out the door going to the gym at 6:30 in the morning, and then going for a 3 or 4 mile walk. And at that point, by the time I'm on my walk, I'm talking to my team already. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm already on the phone walking, and I'm getting my walk in, and I'm talking to my team. Okay, what's on the docket for today? You guys doing this, and I'm on the team. By 8 o'clock, by the time I'm back, I've already got a ton of stuff done. It's only 8, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, and it feels great.
It feels amazing. Nikki, if people wanted to get a hold of you, how do people connect with you? People wanted you to maybe to coach them. I know you're starting a wellness. So maybe they want you to coach them. Maybe they want just to connect with you. Maybe they want to hire your firm. Maybe they want to bring you on. What type of law is your practice specializing in? Criminal defense? What is it? Family?
Primarily family law, but because family law entails so many different things, and sometimes the divorces get pretty ugly, I started doing criminal defense work, juvenile dependency, special education, some civil litigation, and I've also done, bankruptcies. It depends on the needs. Sometimes my clients have more needs than just a divorce, but primarily divorces, but also criminal defense work.
Perfect. So if people wanted to connect with you, how do they find you? Where do they get a hold of you, my dear?
Well, my website for my law practice is www.nlewislaw.com. That's for my law firm. I'm in the process of building my website for my wellness business. And so people will be able to communicate with me through the website, I'll say probably within the next 4 weeks. But if anyone wants to get started now, they can reach out to me on IG at Coach Nikki Lew. And that's CoachNikkillew. So can always reach out to me on Instagram. And again, for law in lewislaw.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nikki. It was a pleasure, honor, great conversation having this conversation with you. Thank you so much. Keep winning. Keep doing what you're doing. Best wishes and good luck to you in your competition if you continue to compete. And best wishes to you in your business. Yes, best wishes to you in your business, and keep doing what you're doing. The world needs more people like you. Girls need to, young people need to see more people, hear from people like you. They need to hear the message you just shared, right?
All right.
You know, I grew up thinking in a Latino household, you grew up thinking that the three main professions in life is engineer, doctor, lawyer. Those are the three things you have to be if you want to make it in life. Get the hell out of here. That's not the three things you need to be. But that's what we were kind of indoctrinated, right? Like engineer, doctor, lawyer. Those you got it. One of the three things, you've made it, right? No, you don't. No, it's not necessarily. And there's more to it to just the title. There's more to it. So people need to hear young people need to hear what you're saying. Because, you know, we come from families where we're colored, and what they tell us is they mean well. They mean well. They're just trying to tell us. Meanwhile, they're just trying to tell us, hey, go get this education, go and do this, and this is the way, and that's all they know. But that's not the only way.
Yeah.
That's not the only way. So thank you for doing what you're doing. We need to get more of that message out there to the world.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm definitely trying to get the message out and letting people know there is a different way to be successful, and you can be happy in your life right now where you are. You really can.
All right, my dear. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.